Welcome back, you guys. All right, so it's been a minute. Honestly, I just got really busy, and it's very hard to keep up with editing YouTube videos when you have a business to run. So we're kind of going into a little bit of a slower period as far as I'm not at shows, 3 weekends a month, that kind of thing. So I have the opportunity now to update you on what's been going on since my last update. Honestly, I don't even remember where I left off, but for those of you that have followed along with my business and things like that, you kind of know where I am, what I'm doing. But I'm in off season right now, improvement season. We do plan on getting on stage probably early in 2023, but I'm honestly just allowing my body to kind of do the talking. So, I just finished my check-ins with my coach. I do this every Thursday morning, so I figured I would come and do this update after doing my check-ins. So I just sent those into her. I'll probably hear back from her in the next couple of hours, that kind of thing. But I sent my photos in, so you can see this is the app that they use right here. So I just sent in my photos for this week and checked in with her. Everything's going in the right direction as far as my shape and things that we want to see, all of those kinds of things. Weight is in check. I right now I'm sitting at 155 pounds. Don't know exactly where I'll be when I actually get on stage again. This last year, depending on the show, I was like 138 or 140, 141. I ended up getting my cycle both shows this year. Literally the day of the show, I got my period. So yeah, it wasn't the best thing in the world. However, with that said, I still knew that I needed to grow some more size. And, my critiques at both shows this year, both at New York and Dallas, were that my conditioning needed to improve. And I agree with that 100%. It was one of those things where we didn't want to come in as lean as I could because I would lose the muscle that I had built. So instead, I stayed fuller and thicker, which at the end of the day, I loved the look. I thought it was like the best looks I've put on stage, but it wasn't competitive. So bottom line is when I get back on stage again this coming year, I want to be competitive. This past year was more of I just need to get back on stage again and see where I fit and where I belong and if my shape is even going to work. And my shape did. My shape looks great. That was actually the feedback that I got from the judges, was that my shape looks fantastic, but it's just a matter of filling it out with more muscle, which I'm fine with. I actually really enjoy the off-season portion of it. So I'm just waiting for Jamie to give me the go-ahead as far as when we're going to prep again. I'm sure we'll talk about that soon in the next couple of months, but I'm really not rushing that part of it. Because I don't want to go through this again just to have the same results, basically. So if that means that we're going to continue to build into the summer, I'm fine with that. Honestly, at this point, when I do this again, I want to be competitive. So again, if that means that I have to stay off stage longer, that's what it means. Right now, I'm really happy with where my training is. I really enjoy my training. My diet is really good. I'm sure I'll get an update today. I did get a macro bump last week, which made me go up a pound, which is normal. When you do, added carbs and fats, you're going to add weight. That's what happens. They absorb water, so you're automatically going to go up in weight. So it usually takes my body a few weeks, like a couple of weeks, to adjust to a macro bump. And then we kind of see where I am at that point. So, what I've decided to do at this point with this series is just update you guys basically weekly and kind of give you an idea of where we are, what we're doing, what's going on, and show you what's going on in the world of my business as well. Once I finish this little update here, I'll be adding some video and things like that from the last show that I was just at, so that you can see what that looked like and talk about some of the girls that I worked with there, give you an insight on that. The next show that we have coming up that I'll be at will be the Olympia. This coming weekend is the final Olympia qualification weekend, and then we are off. We do have 2 Olympian athletes this year. We have Devin Cambry in wellness, and then we have Andrea Glass in fitness. So I'm really excited to go there and cheer our Shawn's Couture Cuties ladies on. It's going to be a lot of fun. And it's nice to go back to Vegas too, because We haven't been in Vegas for a few years, so I'm looking forward to going back there and doing all that again. So, you know, at this point, when it comes to my training and stuff like that, I'm just kind of chugging along. I don't really have anything crazy to add to this because this is just what we do. We go day by day. Consistency is key, right? So once I get an update back from Jamie, I will come back and add another little video onto this. And again, I'm going to try and do this like weekly. So then that way you can keep a running tab on everything I'm doing if that interests you. And in the process, feel free to comment below in this video. Let me know what else you would like to see, questions that you might have for me, things you'd like me to answer, or show or do or whatever, just so that I know what kind of content you'd like to see. So if you haven't done so already, subscribe, turn on notifications, because I also do go live 3 nights a week, from covering, you know, wrap-ups of shows and educational things as far as my business is concerned as well. So you'll get these videos, but you'll also get education, and I encourage you to join me live and ask questions as well and participate in the actual live streams themselves. So I'll be back once I get an update from Jamie.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
I wanted to highlight a couple of our ladies, Miriam and Rachel, that competed at the Virginia show last weekend. And what I want you to pay attention to is what they do and my voice in the background. I worked with both of these ladies on their presentation in their suit, and specifically they came to my Sundays with Shawn on a regular basis, which is my group classes. And I really am a huge believer in group classes for this reason, because it really shows up during your comparisons. Miriam, turn more this way.
83, 73
Yes.
switch, 83 and 73.
Now watch the second arrow for Rachel specifically, because this wasn't a vocal cue, but this is something that we work on in group class, where she stood her ground and took control of the stage.
7-0, let's go!
Rachel, relax your elbows a little. Perfect, there you go.
Good job, 28.
Face front.
Good job, Alyssa!
72 switch with 28.
Yes, hold it, Alyssa! Hold it, Alyssa! 7-0.
That's that training right there, that group class. SWS, man. You got this.
Very tight.
Twist that hip, Rachel. There you go.
Thank you, lady.
They both did such a phenomenal job, and I just wanted to give them a little bit of a shout out here, and maybe you guys learned a little bit something from it too. And we're back. It is still Thursday, but I got my update from Jamie, so I wanted to share where we are, what we're doing. This is basically how this happens every Thursday. So she's really happy with how I look right now. We aren't changing anything. We're just keeping everything steady. She does allow me a 500 calorie flex. Now, I haven't done that in the last few weeks, the last 2 or 3 weeks, because I haven't felt like I needed it. But I'm assuming she's allowing me to do that because she's seeing some growth happen. So if I want to add another 500 calories in throughout the week, I can. So what the 500 calorie flex means is that I can just add some extra carbs, fat, protein, whatever I want to, in the amount of 500 calories at some point during the week. So I can split it up into a couple of meals, or, if I want to have a snack or something like that, which this will come in handy because Thanksgiving is this coming week and my parents are coming into town. So it'll come in handy this week. But currently I am sitting at, like I said, 155 for my weight, which again, she said the same thing that I said earlier. When you have a bump up in macros, you are going to bump up in weight usually because you are retaining more food and more fluid. So my macros are the same. So I am at 270 grams of carbs a day. Total caloric intake is 2,358 calories. So that is a really high amount for me, which is good. I've been higher last year. But at the same time, I was trying to build a lot of muscle at that point because I didn't have anything because I had cut off a lot of it from doing pageants and things like that. So we had to build a lot. Right now, what we're focusing on is keeping my body composition in a good spot so that I can still build some muscle density, but I don't need more size. I just need the thickness, right? So what that means is I don't want to put on a lot of excess body fat. I want this all to be like really solid size, solid muscle. My cardio is only at 15 minutes 3 times a week. And that's MISS cardio, which is medium intensity. So usually I do that on the elliptical. As long as my heart rate is about 130, we're good with that kind of intensity. So it's not bad at all. Most of my energy is going towards lifting because, again, muscle is what I need. So that's where we're focusing our energy. Now, one thing from this morning that just finally drove me over the edge is my my lighting in my studio. I have a big, huge, open bay door, and depending on how the light's coming in, my pictures always look different. So it's been driving me crazy, especially the last few weeks because we've had daylight savings time, which means that the sun is up even higher, which means I have more bright light that I can't manipulate correctly in order to get consistent photos. So today I ordered blackout curtains. Having consistent lighting, consistent photos is super, super important. So I'm going to put those blackout curtains up and just use my ring light in order to get my photos done every week. So then that way at least we can stay consistent with it. Because of the inconsistency of my photos, I wasn't really happy with them today because of the lighting. So is what it is. Next week will be fixed. So these are all things that you should be doing as a competitor. You need to have consistent photos, have your photos taken in the same light, the same position, the same angle, the same place as much as possible. I even try to stick with the same kind of suit. I do change my posing suits up sometimes, and sometimes I'll wear my stage suit and things like that, but they're all basically the same cut. Because I want to be able to see my body progressing. And if you're changing too many things, if you have too many variables, you won't see the progression. So really, really important that you take really good, consistent, quality photos for your coach. And this is also part of the reason why I think it's important to be doing this kind of stuff when you're in the off season, because you can learn things about your body. Like one of the things that I just learned is that I'm not doing too good with egg whites. I didn't realize this, but again, after talking to Jamie today, I guess egg whites are one of the top intolerances of foods out there, and I have a lot of issues with food intolerances. In general, a lot of them have been solved or at least mitigated through proper diet choices and things like that, but The last few weeks I've been having a really hard time whenever I eat egg whites, specifically at night. I was trying to do them before I went to bed as my last meal to get my final macros of protein in, and it just rips my stomach up. So I had a hard time with that last night, and so I just decided I'm going to start cutting that out. But these are things that you figure out, and this is why you should be tracking this stuff when you're not in prep, because you can fix it before you ever get to prep, right? So I'm going to cut all those egg whites out and just see how my body responds to that, and keep moving that way. Like another thing, I don't do well with dairy. I'm lactose intolerant, but I can do Greek yogurt, and I actually do Greek yogurt every single day because that actually helps with my digestion. So these are things that I've learned through just trial and error, really, and keeping really good, diligent notes. I've got lots of logs for the last almost 14 years of doing this. So, and even with that, things still change from day to day. So I'm really happy with the progress that we're making. One more week down, a lifetime to go, basically. We're going to finish out this video. I'm going to give you guys some updates with the girls that are competing this weekend. We have several ladies that are competing at Masters USA, also at Atlantic Coast. So the last portion of this video will be them and how they look on stage and what they've been doing with me as far as their presentation details are concerned. And then we'll be back again next week. So enjoy the wrap up from our ladies for this week. And for the last segment of today's video, I wanted to highlight Jennifer and her second pro show, which was Atlantic Coast Pro this weekend, this Saturday. She did phenomenal, but before we get into the call-outs and comparisons, I wanted to show you what we did as far as critiquing her posing and how we fixed things even the night before the show. So the next couple of slides you're going to see are her sending me posing videos and me sending her critiques back. So listen to what I told her to fix.
Okay, so I haven't looked at your routine yet because that just came in right now. But what I want you to look at with your front pose in those two shots, those two screenshots I just took for you, look at your hip bone and your abs, okay? When you're doing the transition where your hand is down on your thigh, you start to come up, and that's where your hip bone should stay, right there. What you tend to do is once you get into that front pose, you pull that hip bone forward more, which makes you look like you're standing straight on. So what I want you to do is when you come up out of that transition into your front pose, keep the hip bone right where it is in that first screenshot. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense. Okay, so the second video that you sent me is better than the first because you got your upper body around towards me a little bit more. So now we're just kind of over correcting it, of course. But actually the way that you're doing it the second time, when you do relax that arm, it is better because your shoulder rounds out and your shoulder looks a lot fuller when you do that. Now, what I'd like to see from here is what you're doing, basically with that twist in the hip is good. Try to get that back shoulder around towards me a little bit more, and then always be pushing through that lower back into the hip. Because the one thing that we're missing on these videos right now is the tilts in the lower back, pushing into that glute. I know it's hard, and I know it's difficult. But we want to make sure that we keep that tilt so that we don't lose the glute pop too. But like I said, going a little bit more sideways like you're doing it right now is a little bit better because of the fullness in your shoulder. So pay attention to that. You just got to make sure that you relax that arm down and pull that back shoulder around towards me a little more. Yep, this is right where I want you to be towards the final one. The last one, the third time you went through it, you started coming a little bit more straight on because you're probably getting a little bit tired through that portion. So just be very aware of that when you're on stage. The first two times were right where you want that hip bone to be. Conditioning looks great, tan looks great, all that. So that's it. Just keep that hip bone to the side and you're good.
64, Jessica. 68, Nikki. 69, Ashlyn. 70, Jennifer.
And she made it into first call out. This was a phenomenal, just a phenomenal showing in general. She did a fantastic job, and she did a really great job of keeping that waistline where I was telling her to keep it through those critiques on her posing the night before. Back pose is great. Didn't need to change anything there. She did fantastic with her walk, and she pretty much stays in this spot the whole time. She does end up coming back out for the confirmation round of just the top 4 later on as well. So we knew she was going to be top 4 at this point. Now she comes to the front here, gets back into her front pose. She hits it pretty well when she smacks into it at first. And then she starts to drop just a little bit through that upper body and waistline. And that was actually, you know, what I was critiquing her on the night before. And that's exactly what she got critiqued on from the judges later on as well. But, you know, we couldn't be happier with this particular finish for her second pro show and the end of her rookie season. So, yeah, really, really excited with this. You can see as she's standing here, she's starting to lose that pose just a little bit. So we need to work on that conditioning and keeping that body nice and open. And we're getting into the actual announcing of awards. And I, again, just want to say how proud I am of not only Jennifer, but also her coach, Jared. I've been working with Jennifer since her very first posing session before she ever stepped on stage. And Jared has been one of the most amazing coaches as far as student mentality is concerned too. So I really love the team that he has created, and you know, the results are showing for themselves right here when girls really pay attention and they work hard and they trust their coaches.
Number 64,
great things
Jessica
come out of that. What a phenomenal finish for a rookie pro season. Couldn't be happier with this.
Second, number 69, Ashlyn Little. And your 2022 IFBB Pro League Atlantic Coast Pro Bikini Champion is competitor number 60, Ramina Basualdo. Congratulations.
That's it for today's video. We're back. I'm going to do my best to